Russian Wolf started out as a side project. This movie, I mean, it was in my priority list. It was behind Xenios. It was behind part 2 of Xenios. It was behind, well, I can't tell you the other movies because I haven't made them yet. It was, actually no. I didn't even want to make this film. So, why did I? Yeah, to answer that question, we need to go back a while. I had just come out of the hell of production that was Xenios Part 1, and I had two options. Either start with Xenios Part 2 instantly, or take a nice long break from animating. Safe to say, I chose the break. And that was probably the best decision I had made up until that point. Xenios was such a rushed movie. It was so unbelievably flimsy. It falls apart in my hands as I look at it. And I didn't want it to happen like it did to Xenios to this movie, Russian Wolf. I wanted this one to be good. I wanted this one to be fun, a fun time. Not a chore, not homework to watch. And so I wrote the script. And I wrote the script in one day. One day for this entire screenplay. It was so much fun. I was so refreshed after having taken that long break. And the ideas and creativity was just spewing. It was dripping from my hands. And so I wrote the script about dogs and bunnies who can talk and understand each other.
Sup.
Buonasera.
But not really. And the humans can't understand them. But they're all living on this farm and they get sold to people and stuff. And they're still the pets, you know? But then I wanted to put a twist on it. How about these two rivaling factions, the bunnies and the dogs? How about we make it a gang war? And so I wrote the script having that in mind. The dogs would fight the rabbits. Everlasting conflict. And you would think, oh my god, dogs, I mean, they're so much better. But no. No. Because the rabbits, you see, little known something about rabbits. They multiply very fast. And so the script was done. I had an idea for the movie, and I went on to hire voice actors. But even before that, I had to build the map. I downloaded a map for an island from Planet Minecraft, and the links will be in the description for everything that I stole, basically. No, that I used. I used the map, and I just needed a little farm cottage, a dog, and a rabbit pen. And so me and my good friend Sebastian, who also voices the rabbit mafia boss Hoppellini, got to work on building the map, and it was so much fun. We had such a blast. And once that was done, then I got to hire the voice actors. Most of the voices you hear in this movie were made by friends or colleagues of mine, and I think we picked out a really fantastic cast. If you haven't yet, watch the movie now on my channel, linked up there in the pinned comment. After all the lines had been recorded, the real challenge began. The animating. The movie opens on a Star Wars opening crawl. This idea came to me very, very late into production, and it was the last, if you can call it a scene, that was made for the film. I downloaded a preset by Alan Palmer and got to work on writing the script. A Star Wars opening crawl is usually 3 sentences. We switched it up a bit and just made our own thing. Then we cut to scene 1. A voiceover by Betta Lantana tells us that the mafia is growing stronger and the bunnies are ready to strike. It then cuts to the throne room, which was a map that I downloaded from a very talented builder. The link to that video you can also find in the description. Russian Wolf sits on his throne and is being told about the mafia's doings. He then decides not to fight them and sends on Ivan to go investigate. But before Ivan can reach the dog pen, he gets picked up. Some noteworthy things for this first scene. We already open up with 3 dogs. Since the entire movie was made in one blender scene, I never really got around to training for dog movements. So the first scene really was me winging it until it looked somewhat acceptable. You can see this in some movements which are a bit janky and maybe don't make so much sense, but it turned out fine. I could have animated the ears a bit more, but my references were good and I used a lot of stock footage and my own dog to record and then animate from that. Once Ivan is outside, we cut to a few nature sounds, and this scene was way better for me. It included humans again, the owner of the farm and a man who was willing to buy a dog. So Ivan gets picked up and sold to the guy for $1,000. This was very important for me to show because it showed that despite this conflict seeming epic and grand, it was all just taking place in the minds of these dogs, and they were all just waiting to be sold to people and living a life as a happy little puppy. We had a lot of fun with jokes like this. Also in the third scene, Betta Lantana's character comes sprinting back into the throne room. She saw everything. Ivan got sold, and Hoppolini, the mafioso, saw everything and was happy about it. So she comes back in fury and tells Russian Wolf that we can't let this happen. Furious, Russian Wolf calls out to his army and prepares for battle. This scene was never originally in the script, but I found it important to show the wolf army at least once, which then made it into the movie a bit more in the next scene. The biggest scene. 15 dogs and 6 or so rabbits. Wow, a lot of rigs, and for it all being animated in one scene, that got pretty laggy. The bunnies were such fun characters to animate because we actually only get their eyes to get expressions out of them, and a bit of their ears, I guess. But they don't have mouths like the wolves, so when they talk, they're just still, which also makes them look that more lethal. You would think they're cute, but no, once you tilt those eyes, they get real bad. The eye rig was made by my good friend Luminous Animations, who also helped me on the movie in general. Next up, we see the dogs and the bunnies from the human's perspective, and they look like they're just having fun. Take a look at this. After that, the figure walks up to the house. So it turns out she has been looking to buy a dog for whatever reason. Lonely, I guess. And our owner of the farm is very willing to sell her one. So, which one does she pick up? Russian Wolf. Tragedy strikes as Russian Wolf gets picked up, taken away from the battle, having to watch helplessly as his friends get slaughtered by the bunnies. No, actually, they just bark and growl at each other. But anyways, gets taken away from the battle and is furious. He then gets sold, and there's nothing he can do. The last scene is a pretty brief one, where the figure gives Russian Wolf his iconic voice, so all the characters in Xenios can understand him next time they meet. So why did I make this movie? I said I didn't want to, and yes, I didn't. I thought dogs and bunnies, animating them would be such a pain. It was, at times. I really complained a lot, especially during that big scene with all the dogs and bunnies in it. But in the end, it was well worth it. I got the movie done, and I got it out. And it might just be my favorite movie to date. The movie made me feel happy again. Animating was fun when I was doing Russian Wolf, and that carried over to Xenios Part 2. I've been having so much fun, and Russian Wolf sort of brought that spark back to me. If it were not for this movie, I don't know if I would still be animating. so it has always got a special place in my heart. That's already gonna be all for this little behind the scenes. Really not that much to cover, but I thought it would be fun to talk about the movie that saved animating for me. I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good day. See ya.